again from the top. It's on page Tov Reish Aleph, and it says, "V'amer Eliyahu v'kav tavne." When I came back, so when I went back up into the heavenly worlds, and I finished the work I had to do in this world, and saving Rabbi Nuna Saba, so I ran into, or I found this, the parsa that's over your head. The Nautach Bakol Inan Samchim, that was, I guess, Nautach, I don't know exactly, they took that was supported. Uslas min Chavria, so it had all of these things on it and the three Chavria. Let's see what it says. Mitzasi as a masach. He found the curtain or the screen, or the light screen that was above their head. Shahad paros al chaverim, that was spread over the chaverim. Nasu also ha'amodim shehem ha'malachim, that were carried, I guess, or lifted up by the columns. And I think we had a description of that, but I forgot a lot of it, which was held up by different malachim. V'olcha b'shlosh neshamos, and on this parsa, this masach, on it were the shlosh neshamas chaverim ka'amar la'el. There you find the three neshamas of the chaverim that we said up above. Shemati chalamal, and I heard from up above. Kollel shal simcha v'tzahala. There was a lot of celebration. It's like a welcome home party. I asked the malachim, Maki simcha zos, what's going on? What's this simcha all about? And they said to me, this is the portion of HaKodesh Baruch Hu. Mesimchas Rabbi Shimon v'chaverim. He joined in. V'amar Eliyahu, the Rabbi Shimon, Rabbi said to Rabbi Shimon, Zakol and Rabbi Shimon, happy is your portion, Rabbi Shimon. V'zakol chulkoch, and ashrecho had your portion, Rabbi Shimon. V'ashrei chelkoch, and once again, your portion. Chuloko de'inan chavrecha v'deyasvin kamach. V'ashrei chelek chaverecha hayoshvin levanecha, and also happy is the portion of those who are learning with you. Kama dargin is taknuch l'chon l'olma da'asi. Kama bedregos mesukanim, how many different levels are prepared l'chem for you, l'olam haba, in the highest world. Kama butzinim de nehorach zeminin the nahara l'chon, kama ma'oros, all different kinds of lamps and illuminations, hameirim, asidim that shine. They are asidim, they are destined, oz l'hoyer l'chem, they are going to shine on to you. V'omar Eliyahu, the Rebbe Shimon, the Rebbe Yahu said now to Rebbe Shimon, v'tochazi, come and see. Yom adin, this day, ki yom hazecha shesiyamtech levayer sodas ha'torah be'idra. So now this is the day that you are making this conclusion in the Idra. Begina is the Arach Hamishim Kisring, the Rebbe Pinchas ben Yoer Chamoch. So it's very interesting. V'hine b'shvilecha, because of you and what you've been able to do, uv'schuscha, and your merit, ha'atiri the Rebbe Pinchas ben Yoer, I have crowned Rebbe Pinchas ben Yoer, chosancha, your father-in-law, began Eden in Gan Eden, b'chamishim kesarim, with 50 different crowns. Shehem Keneged Chamishim Shari Bina, which are actually Keneged, the different gates, I guess, that enter in and come out from Bina. Shehu Sod Olam Haba, which is, of course, Bina is the secret of the world beyond. Shech Behem Nis Allah Rebbe Shimon Al Yedeh Rebbe Gil Hu Yisodas Idra. So from them, Rebbe Shimon was able to elevate. Let's see, Behem Nis Allah, Rebbe Shimon rose up there. Rebbe Shimon Al Yedeh Rebbe Gilui Sodas Idra, because of the Gilui of the Sodas here. Kikashem she Ma'atrim Ha'av Began Eden. Now here's a fact that I don't know that I thought about before. So that the father in Gan Eden is crowned Kashahaben Mechadish Kiddushei Torah, when the son starts learning and making new insights into Torah, Lamata Ba'olam Hazeh. Kach Ma'atrim as a choisin began Eden. The same thing as with the father-in-law. Shechachas the Mechadish Kiddushei Torah Lamata. That, excuse me, when the son-in-law happens, it refers to the son-in-law. When the son-in-law is making new Torah in this world, also it affects his father-in-law. V'Omer Eliyahu, Rabbi Eliyahu says like this: V'ana azilna imei b'kol inen nahari deturi debar posmona dachya. V'ani halachti, I walked, I traveled, in Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair, with Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair, b'kol ozen hanara shel hari aparsimon, for all of those rivers that are, I guess, flowing from the mountains of Aparsimon HaTahor, that pure Aparsimon. Shehem Sod Shefa Partsufim Shevyad, because this is the flow, the bounty of the Partsufim Malyonim that are flowing down the Gan Eden into Gan Eden. Kedei Levara, and why Levara? In order to be refined out low, Shom, Makom Yoser Elyon B'man Shehoy Yodoch Ba'ad, there's something really greater, a greater Makom Yoser Elyon, a higher place than they have now. V'hu Berich Duchte, Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair Atzmo Berich as Makom B'Shehuta Be'enov, so he blessed the place that his resting place in Gan Eden, because it was really good to him. V'histachen the Yashebo, and everything was set in preparation for him to live there. I'm sorry? Yeah. Now, which line am I at now?
Space, you said Barich Duchte, he blessed his place. It doesn't say that.
Oh, Barir. Oh, I thought it's kind of dark here, so please excuse me. V'hu Barir Duchte. He chose his place. Ben Yair Atzmo Birer, so he chose it as Makomo Shehuta V'Nav, the place that he thought was good. V'Histaken L'Yashebo, and it was all set up in position to receive him, for him to dwell there. Amala Rabbi Shimon Eliyahu Hanavi, and then Rabbi Shimon said to Eliyahu, Hine yesh lo l'shol, there is a question here. Kuturim tzedikaya Bakartufa de Itrin Beresh Yarke Vizimna Shavashab Sayater Mikol Shar Yomim. Well, what are all of these words? This word Bakartufa is a new word for me. He's a Mikol Shar Yomim. He says, Im Kashurim Atzadikim Bekasher Ataros. So if the tzadikim are tied together with the binding, or the knot of the crowns, Barosh Chadashim, I guess he means to say that these crowns come onto them at this time. They get them tied onto them. Hatar is Barosh Chadashim, Bezim Del Muadim, Shabbasos, this absolutely their special crowns. They come onto the heads of the tzaddikim at the time that these holidays or these different periods are taking place. Yosef Mikol Shar Yemos Shana, more than all the rest of the days of the year. Kolomba Rosh Chadashim, that is Rosh Chadashim of Bizmani Hamuadim, and the times of the holidays, because in all of these places there's an inyan of the rising of everything is rising spiritually. And then also we see that the Neshamas of the Tzaddikim, they rise too. This is interesting, and they get tied into the Malchus of Atzilus. Now, I'm contrasting to what he said before about being in Gan Eden. I was assuming that the Gan Eden they were talking about was the Gan Eden of Atzilus. That's what I thought, but maybe we're talking about a different Gan Eden of, there's a Gan Eden Lamala, Gan Eden Latata. So I'm not sure exactly what he's contrasting here. So he says, let me go back to the third line from the bottom. So they also go up and they actually tie them, they themselves are tied to the Malchus of Atzilus, Hanikra Kasher Ataros, which is called, that being tied to Malchus is called the tie of crowns. Shehit Srur, which is bound, the Kasher called the Neshamas, which it is Malchus, in fact, that binds and ties together all of the Neshamas. The Rebbe Shimon, so Rabbi Eliyahu said to Rebbe Shimon, and he said to him, Kilo miboyesh and neshamas tzadikim ola bizmani elo. So it's not enough, or not just sufficient enough, or it's not all, that the tzadikim ola bizmani elo, the tzadikim grow up at this time, umiskashrim b'malchus d'atzilus, and also become bound to the malchus of atzilus, avkol in the lavar, but also the ones that are outside. Ela afilu eloh haneshama shal rishayim, the neshamas of the rishayim. Shehem mechutz the kedusha, which live outside of kedusha. Hineb gam heim olim bismanim elu. They also go up at these times. The chsev is written like this: Midei chodesh b'chadshah was in from the month of the months. Midei Shabbat b'shabto, from the midst of the Shabbos, amongst the Shabbases. So let's see how he translates. Yavu called basa the hishtachel the fun of Amar Hashem. So on all of these different attitudes, or these different what we saw times, what we call the new moon, or we call on Shabbos. Yavu called basa the hishtachel in the Lefonai Amar Hashem, so they all should come and bow down before me. What does this mean? He said, Pirush, ki elo haneshama she'adam she'enim tzadikim of a nikroyim called bosser. So he said when he used the word called bosser, he's talking about everybody, not tzadikim only. Gam heim yivol l'shtachel Hashem. They will also come and bow down before Hashem, Barosh Chodesh and Shabbos, etc. Elin Asian V'im Elu HaNeshama Shal HaRishayim. So if the Neshamas of the Rishayim, Olam Kashrim B'Malchus the Chatzilus, they're able to go up into that level and tie themselves to the Malchus of Tzilus, Bizmanim Elu, Kol Shechen Tzedikaya, so that they can do it, and it's available for all of them. So the same thing is true about Tzedikim. So there's a little side idea about the holidays and Rosh Chodesh. Im came and call Shechen the Shamas of Tzedikim, and certainly the Shamas of the Tzedikim, She'olim Miskashri B'Malchus Atzilus, that go up and tie themselves to the Malchus of Atzilus. V'Hosef of Eliyahu and Hanavi the virus, and now Rabbi Eliyahu is now going to explain this. Kimasha Kasev Midei Chodesh B'Chadsha. So what does exactly this mean? He said Rabbi Yarnu, so we explain this. Shehu Sod Aliyas Olamos. This is the concept that on these special times, here we're talking about Rosh Chodesh, at the time of the going of the elevation of the Olamos, V'Neshamos, B'Rosh Chodashim, Yesh L'Shol. So when we're talking about that time, he says, we have this question, Lama, Nis Ala Yom Rosh Chodesh, Yosef B'Shar Yemos Hashanah. Why, what makes Rosh Chodesh special over all the rest of the days of the year? Mishum the misantre of a Hassan of a Reticha Kadesha, because our fathers, who are the holy chariot, the upper chariot, this is a special time for them. Let's see what it said. Mishum Sha'az, on these days, misantre Mashlosha Avos El Yonim, which are actually the three columns of right, left, and center. Shehem Sod HaMerkava Kedusha, which is the main channel of bringing Shefa up and bringing Mayim Nukfin down. I said that backwards. Mayim Nukfim up and Mayim Nukfim down. Varma old ki masha kosev behemshach hakosev, and then it writes further. Umed Shabbat b'Shabbato, shehu sod aliyas olamot v'neshama b'Shabbos, which is teaching you that on Shabbos there's also an aliyah of the neshamas as well. V'hinecha v'alas yom b'Shabbos. So what's the great quality of Shabbos? The mis'ater sheviyad kol inin shita yomim. Sha'az misater, because from once Shabbos comes in, it's an interesting idea. We were talking yesterday about, he had the concept of 7, so that Rabbi Shimon was number 7. So 7 really is like the number of Malchus, but then you know that Rabbi Shimon is really on the top, he's more like a Kesser. So then this contrasting to that, so he says Sha'az misater yom HaShvi, then the 7th day becomes crowned. Shashesh Shemei Yomim, so in other words, it becomes the Iker. Shehu Sod HaMalchus HaNikbas Yom HaShvi, which is the secret of Malchus, which is the binding, I guess he means to say, to that place. Lefi Shehi HaSvira HaShvi is B'Svira Sechesed Lamata, because that's the 7th Sphira, if you count from Chesed. So, I mean, this really kind of turned my thinking around a little bit, because here he's saying that you have to get to the concept of Malchus first, or the idea is everything is heading towards Malchus, and then it sounds like Malchus turns around and it crowns everything else. But it's at the bottom. The Shehi HaSfira HaShvi is Mispiras HaChesed V'Lamata, V'hi Misateres, she becomes crowned, and Mikabelas Ha'ara B'Shefa B'Kol Shisha Kitzvahs, and what you're getting there then, and I guess he's talking about Malchus of Atzilus in relationship to the Neshamas that are in the lower worlds. he says, Ha'arav v'shefa mikol shesha kitzvot, because it's full of the shefa that's coming from up above, shazer anpin. Hanekrim sheshes yamim, and zer anpin is also called by the name of 6 days. Dechsev, in other words, he's a vak. Kamosha kasev v'yavarach Elohim as Yom HaShvi b'chshin v'red. So pirush, and its explanation is pirusha shaberech as Yom HaShvi shuhu hamalchus, which is malchus. Malchus gets all of the bracha, and then everything else disseminates down from there. From Eliyahu Rabbi Shimon, v'antu Rabbi Shimon shiviyan deshita. So you are Rabbi Shimon, you're the 7th of the 6th. V'anta Rabbi Shimon hu b'b'chidas Yom HaShvi, you're the aspect of the 7th day. Shal shesh shemei hachol of the other 6 days. The hey misatar miskadesh, let it be that you should become crowned and sanctified. Yanta mikula, more than all the rest, because all the rest are inside of you. Ki ata miskadesh yosef b'kol shisha chibarim, you're more holy than them. Because you're the concept of the holy Shabbos. Rabbi Yehuda, the Rabbi Shimon b'Shem Shabbos, as Rabbi Yehuda called Rabbi Shimon Shabbos. He's the number 7 that causes the hashpah from all the rest of them. But still, it's still a question is that the rest of them, the 6th, are up above Rabbi Shimon. So they pour into Rabbi Shimon, and Rabbi Shimon then turns around, and I'm not sure either he is mashpia to us, or else he's makasha them. I'm not which. Uslazi dunim the ishtatkim b'shviyah, v'shlosha mini idunim. So there's different kinds of times idunim. Shehem so oros ashlosha b'mochim chochma bin da. So there's three specials, not idunim. I guess I didn't look that word up. Shehin sod oros ashlosha mochim the chochma bin das, and in I guess he means here now you see the mochim have poured down the sod hashlosha seudos, and it's also the secret of the 3 meals we have on Shabbos, hanimsaim b'shvi, which are found in the 7th day, Yom Shabbos. So we had this concept of 3. First he started with the avos, and then he says they were idunim are really ornaments. Is that what it is? Like the word Aden? So he said. What did he say? What'd you say that is?
Like delight.
Delays? Delays?
Yeah, delight. No, delight. Pleasure.
Oh, yeah, got it. Yeah, that's it. Delight. Okay, so he said there are 3 different types of delight. Shehem sod, oros, shlosha, mochim, the chochma, being a das, to all pour in there. The sod, the shlosha, seudos, and then each line, that's, I guess, so to speak, could also be attached to the 3 meals. B'shvi shuhu Yom HaShabbos. Zminin chavrecha ve'ilin tzedikaya lis adna beginach la'alma da'asi. Let them celebrate in the next world. Let's say v'chasidem elu chachaverim tzedikim lis adein, to become delighted b'schuscha, because of you, la'olam haba, in the next world. They're going to have tremendous delights. Kolomar ki be'esis stalkos Rebbe Shimon la'olam haba. When he's leaving this world, yushpa. Yushbal the Kollel Rabbi Shimon Oros Ashlosha Mochen. That's what he says. It now. He said when he says Rabbi Shimon ki be'es histalkos Rabbi Shimon. So I'm not sure what he meant by histalkos. We're about to get into it in the Idra Zuta. So he says ki be'es histalkos, when Rabbi Shimon left. I assume he means reps the world. Shimon la'olam haba, he says to olam haba. Okay, I say yushbuk l'kavod Rebbe Shimon, pours out for the kavod of Rebbe Shimon, oros hashlosha mochin, the oros of these 3 lights, these 3 mochin. V'oz eloch tzadikim yahanach of yizadnu ba'osam oros anosafos. And now then, when that happens, then all this pouring out will come also the benefit of the other tzaddikim, the 3 tzaddikim that are already there, hanosafim b'derek b'nei Adam, that are added into kederek b'nei Adam. In other words, what they normally would get, shemosifim l'kavod ha'oros Michael Yuchud Gam l'kol b'nei habayis. I need to read this again because I got a little bit off. So he says, Ki be'esis talkos Rebbe Shimon la'olam haba. So he's going into the next world. Yushbu l'kvodo, who all starts to pour out because in his honor of Rebbe Shimon. Oros hashlosha mochim. So where are they pouring out? So therefore the rest of the tzaddikim, I guess he's talking about tzaddikim in general. Yahana, they will get the benefit and the delight, ba'osam ha'oros hanosafim kederek b'nei Adam, that are added to them in the same way as b'nei Adam shemosifim l'kavod ha'oreach, like when people come and they want to add up something special because there's a great a guest coming, so therefore they want to make sure that the house, etc., is really nice. So this is special food that's ready, that's available for all the people of the house. In other words, everybody will celebrate that's invited to the party. So what does this mean? Kolomar. Sha'al Yidei Rabbi Shimon, that through Rabbi Shimon, Shuhu Sod Shabbos, was this concept of this number 7, is the Malchus of Atzilus. Nikra of a Nimshach Oneg Ha'idunin, the Tzaddikim Ha'ela, so it causes a tremendous delight and all the Shefa to come to the Tzaddikim. V'zecha v'kurasa the Shabbos Oneg, that's what it causes, and you should call Shabbos a celebration. And Masha Amar HaPasuk Od L'Kadosh Havaya, for the purpose of making Kedusha for Havaya B'Kuvod, who was so honored. Yesh L'Shul, what's that phrase mean? Man hu Kadosh Hashem, who's the Kadosh Hashem? Ki hu HaNikra Kadosh Havaya. Umeshiv Eliyahu Hanavi, so Eliyahu now answered, Da Rebbe Shimon ben Yochai. So the Kadosh Hashem is Rebbe Shimon. Zechu Rebbe Shimon ben Yochai HaNikra B'Kadosh Havaya. That's what he is. He's a Kadosh, the Yudke Vavke. The Ikrim B'Kuva Ba'am B'den Ba'am B'Da'asa, he is the honored one. In this world and the next, V'Alav Amar HaPasuk, the Kadosh Havaya Mekubad, so that's why it has these 3 words. He says, Lifi Rebbe Shimon ben Yochai, Nikra Mekuvad, he is called the honored one, Bein Ba'olam Hazeh, Ben Ba'olam Haba, and that's the end of the Idra Rabbah. And I'm putting it away, safekeeping, and I'm going to get out my Idra Zuta, which we see is much shorter.
After that, we do Sarvadis Niyusa with this printing.
Now, which one?
The Sarvadis Niyusa, they did a really good job. It's a 2-volume, this same print company, the printers of this.
I have it. I have it.
You have it, okay. After the Zuta, it's good.
Yeah, I've got those. He also has a little book that they came with it. It's called, what's it called? Negilus Idra. I looked through that. I don't know if you got that or not. I looked through that. It's really like highlights. Right. Probably something to be taught, separately. Okay, so here's what I did on the Idra Zuta, right? Let me see if I can find the place. Oh, gosh. What did I do? Okay, that's just the beginning. Give me a second. I screwed up here a little bit. I had something that I wanted to go through first, and I thought I had a mark on it. Or maybe I do. Let's see what this one is. No. No. There was a place where they compared them, and I thought we might look at that again.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, here it is. I found it. It's on page test.
Yeah.
Okay, so here we're on the right side. The middle column is Idra Rabbah, and the left column is the Idra Zuta. The Zaman Amir, also the time that it said, Kamashanim Lifnei Patiras Rashbi. So we don't know how many years, but it was years before. And then in the Idra Zuta, Yom Pitirasul Sharashbi. So that's actually the day that he died, he said the Idra Zuta. So the Makom Amiraso, so the first one, the next one is Besade, Beina Ilanos. So apparently the Idra Rabbah was really in outdoors. So then the next one took place, though, in Basel Sharashbi, in Rashbi's house. That was in the Idra Zuta. So then, Minayim Chaverim, where are the Minyan Chaverim, how many Chaverim were there? In the Idra Rabbah, there were Sarah Chaverim, and then in the Idra Zuta, there's only 7. Rak Shiva Chaverim Ki Shlosha Chaverim Nistalku Ba'olim, so we know that 3 of them are no longer in our world. Partsufim Amiz Ba'arim. So what are the Partsufim they're talking about? In the Idra Rabbah, it talked about Eric Anpin and Zer Anpin and his Nukva and the Nukva. So he says that's what we talked about in the Idra Rabbah. over here we're going to really talk about and also include Abba ve'ima. So then let's go to the next one, El Yonim Shehishtatfu. So what exactly was joined together with them? In other words, in the saying that there was a yichud that was going on. So he says that in the Idra Rabbah was a Kodesh Baruch Hu, which is Panemius. It's a name that attaches different places. But it says a Kodesh Baruch Hu Merkavosov and his chariots and his vehicles of Shefa up and down. Then in the Idra Zuta, it is a Kodesh Baruch Hu Umarkavosov, the same thing, a Kodesh Baruch Hu once again. But he also has along with him the Neshamos, the Tzaddikim, Shel Gan Eden. So there's more. There's more here. So Madabrim, who is speaking, so in the first one it's Rabbi Shimon, Inechaverim, because you had the different rabbis there also said aspects. And the Idra Zuta, it's only going to be Rashbi Levado, only Rabbi Shimon. Okay, now I'm going over here, and this may be a little bit difficult for me because it's very small. So let's look here. We have, this is Hashlama's, what is it? Shlama L'Techilas Idra Zuta. So I'm not sure what that meant. Let's go over here. There is an introduction. So let me see how well I can read this. So he says, Nechluchu HaMefarshim, whether or not it's actually on that day that Rashbi died, or maybe this took place before that. So what we're listening to now, he actually got well from that. So it writes like this. I guess is an introduction to the original Zohar here. He says that Khan Shaykh Shaykh this phrase Tana Rabbanan Kushachala Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai. It starts like that. So he's, in other words, he's going to die. I am Besofa Sefer B'Simen Ches. He says I think this was Rahai Adkan Umashba. So it's mashma that's what had happened when he died. So when it says when he got sick, I mean, which is mashma that it's just talking about time of his sickness. Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai, he's talking about his ultimate last sickness, which is near the time that he died. So he says, so therefore, where his position was before this, it was really near to the time of his Petira. So he had this explained in many different Meforshim. I can't read that word. There we go. Cholik al koch, but he doesn't hold like that. It seems a mashma that he's dying here, so that's what you're hearing. But the yain rekach doesn't hold like this. The beit lecha. He said for shemaises zeh bekoded the yom petiras the Rashbi zal. So this took place before Rashbi died. Kamishana, many years, several years. Because this cholik that he has now that we're talking about, he got well from it. But the Tais of the Rashi Zal, Kama a Yom Bishanim. He had years and days, or days and years that ad the Yom Pitiraso until the day of his Pitira. V'hinech Rabbi Ma'isa Shalavanena, who we're talking about here, Nizker B'Petilas Idra Zuta. It's mentioned in the beginning of the Idra Zuta. Like I said, B'Bizimna Achra. So this says there was another time when I was in the sick house. Rabbi Pinchas ben Yoher, come on. So the Rabbi Pinchas ben Yoher was there in front of me. So here's the question. The Berir no Dochtai, and that was that question that we had just at the end of the Idra Rabbah, where it says that he was really looking for the proper place for him to this is before he had gone to the Brira, or before he had actually settled into the place that he chose. And he stayed with me until this time. Okay, I didn't read the whole thing. So in other words, before the time that he had actually chosen his place in the next world, he was there with me. Bizman acher k'shechayisechayla. This is talking about another time when I was sick. Hay Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair nimsa lefanai uvaod acher uvaod shebirarti es makomos shebirarti, and he's saying this before I actually found my place in the next world. Hamtinu li ad ata. He was waiting for me, and he was still there with me until this time. Okay, we'll stop here, and thank you for learning with me today, and we'll pick it up and read the rest of this and then get started. Kol tov. Thank you.